I asked a nigga on my blog the other day, yo, have you ever bought a bond? This nigga proceeds to tell me, yo, I'm done catching bodies, bro. I'm not ever trying to see a courthouse or a jail cell ever again. I'm like, yo, my nigga TP, I ain't asked you all of that. Feel me? I'm talking about federal bonds, not this shit with the jail and the courthouse and making sure you don't do the dash like TK. But this made me realize that a lot of niggas don't know what federal bonds are. And this is extremely important now because of the economic times that we're in. A lot of people is worried about recession, this, that, the third, which is why the bond market has been having a lot of activity because this is a safe haven asset, meaning that this is something niggas dump their bread in when they're uncertain about how their economy is about to unfold down the road. This is even more important because this is a market that Trump had looked at to make his consideration if he's going to pause the tariffs or not. If y'all don't believe me, boom, here's a screenshot of him, you feel me, sanctioning what I just said. But now I'm going to break down for me how this shit works. So, as y'all know, the U.S. has a spending problem. The U.S. is, I believe, $34.56 trillion in debt. This number may have increased a bit slightly since the last time I looked at it. But basically, them niggas is in a lot of debt. So the number of their spending is like right here. But the bread that they make from taxes, which is their income, is like right here. So there's a big gap that they need to fill. So for me, fill this gap, what they do is they made these instruments of debt, right? And the bonds is just one form of the instrument. There's many. So starting from, for me, in terms of like the federal instruments, there's the treasury bills, which is 4 weeks to a year. There's treasury notes, which is 2 years to 10 years, and then there's treasury bonds, which is 10 years to 30 years, right? And anybody in the U.S. could buy, for me, these instruments, these bonds, this, that, the third. You don't even have to be a citizen. Not only just anybody in the U.S., but niggas all over the world. So niggas from China, Russia, all of these niggas have, like, for me, bonds and shit like that. And how they work is basically their IOUs, meaning that I bet I owe you this amount of bread, but I'm going to pay it back to you plus interest. So I'm going to pay you back your principal and then a fixed amounts of interest over time, which is why bond prices and yield are inverse of each other. And if y'all don't understand that, I'm going to explain that in the comments because niggas is running out of time. But for me, the Fed also uses this, and it's very important because it helps make sure they can, like, for me, oversee the economy properly. So they do something called quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. So quantitative easing is when they add to their balance sheet by buying bonds from the banks, and then they digitally credit these banks, for me, with bread. So now that the banks have more money so that it can lend out, right? And what this does is that this promotes, for me, economic activity because now businesses can go to banks and get more bread, and this generally also lowers interest rates. And quantitative tightening, for me, is basically just the opposite of quantitative easing. And this shit is important, but another important thing is the inverse yield curve, but I'm going to get into that in the next video.